Hello YouTube. Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. And yes, I have my lighting, I have some sage, and I also have my fan. How you doing? I hope tonight's full moon in Virgo is bringing you a lot of insights and a lot of clarity and illumination, especially with regards to short-term plans. So I wanted to do another video about another part of my professional psychic practice. As some of you know, the Moon, Serpent, and Bone 6th annual Ostara night market is next month, and I'm sure that everybody who follows me on social media knows how much I love working with Amy, the living goddess of the Moon, Serpent, and Bone markets. So one of the things that I noticed about myself is that because the Moon, Serpent, and Bone night markets are very specifically seasonal, meaning there's one for Ostara, which is the vernal equinox, there's one for the summer solstice, which in many magical traditions is called Litha or Midsummer, there's one for Samhain, which many people refer to as Halloween, and then of course there's Yule, which is the winter solstice. So the thing that I've noticed is that I'm more in tune with the seasons. And because of these particular night markets, and of course, you know, as a moon magic witch, I don't really focus on the seasons because that's more of a solar thing. I focus more on the 8 lunar phases because there are 8. In Western astronomy, there's more of a focus on 4, but in magical traditions, there are 8. I'll make sure to list them in the description box. So I tend to focus on the 8 lunar phases as to when is an ideal time to do this, when is an ideal time to take stock about this, when is it an ideal time to banish and dissolve, etc., etc., etc. But working with Amy for the Moon, Serpent, and Bone night markets, I have become more in touch with the seasons. I've become more in touch with the seasonal representations, if you will, of spring, summer, autumn, winter, as well as the cross-quarter holy days that occur between them. Imbolc, which is traditionally February 2nd, although in some magical traditions it's February 1st. Beltane, May 1st. Lunasa, also known as Lammas, which is August 1st. And then, of course, Samhain, October 31st. So I've been paying closer attention to those things. I've been paying closer attention to how those seasonal changes can have an impact on me, and also how I can make the most of those seasonal changes in my life. You know, spring is not a season that excites me. I like spring. I don't love spring. I don't live for spring. I live for autumn and winter. Yes, isn't that right, Durga? But I definitely have come to enjoy spring. And I must admit, just yesterday I was talking to Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos, about returning to the Brooklyn Botanic Garden for the cherry blossoms, the sakura, as they say in Japan. And the interesting thing is that they're not going to bloom in my area until late March to mid-April. But still, it's like it's already in my mind. Like, I definitely want to make a point of returning to the Brooklyn Botanic Garden in early, preferably the first week of April. And of course, you know, I'm so incredibly thankful to have a local library that has complimentary admission, that offers complimentary passes to go to the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. And yes, it has between Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and the Brooklyn Botanic Garden in Brooklyn in New York City, in New York. It's opened up something in me. It's like now more than ever I want to go to different botanical gardens and wildflower preserves. And you know, I recently found out about one in New Jersey. The one in New Jersey, which is the state in which I live, is very far away, and it is not accessible via mass transit, which doesn't surprise me because New Jersey is spread out like that. But it's something that would interest me, especially since it borders a park that is named after a First Nation or Native American tribe. And I've always been fascinated by First Nation cosmology and spirituality. So, becoming more aware of the seasonal changes, I feel as though I'm becoming more connected to solar energies, because the seasonal changes are very solar. You know, the solstices and the equinoxes occur during certain solar actions or certain solar activities. You know, a solstice is when the sun stands still. You know, the summer solstice is more commonly known as the longest day because it has the highest number of daytime hours, whereas the winter solstice is also known as the longest night because it has the highest number of nighttime hours. And then, of course, in between, you know, you have the equinoxes, which literally means equal night. So it's the same number of daytime and nighttime hours for an equinox, whether it is the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, or the autumnal equinox, the fall equinox. So I am slowly but surely remembering that a goddess cannot function on moonlight alone, or rather, a witch cannot subsist on moonlight alone. I know it would be very convenient, but you know, the sun is a very important planet. It's a very important star. In Western astrology, it's a planet, but in astronomy, it's a star. It's a huge star, but still, it's a star in astronomy. So that is something that has become more of the focus for me, like really tuning into the seasonal changes. You know, Imbolc in magical traditions represents the return of warmth. And I've been surprised as to how many more daylight hours I've seen lately. There have been several occasions when I have felt that it's too warm in my apartment. There have been times when I've gone outside and I needed to either remove certain layers or I needed to lower the zipper of a vest or a sweater. So the warmth is certainly returning, at least in my area of New Jersey. And of course, I live in the northern hemisphere, so for those of you in the southern hemisphere, it may be a little bit different for you. But I will definitely say that the return of warmth is definitely being felt by this witch. So becoming more aware of the seasonal changes is becoming another part of my professional psychic practice, because now I'm becoming more aware of different decks that I can use seasonally. You know, there's a tarot deck called Botanica, which I had the honor and pleasure of pledging to on their Kickstarter campaign. And, you know, to me it is a very spring deck. So my intention is to find the deck, because somebody who's been using my psychic services for more than 30 years mentioned this deck to me, and I'm like, I know this deck. And I know that I have a copy, because strangely enough, I did not receive the original copy that was mailed to me when they were mailing out those who had pledged to the campaign. And I was like, and I never received the first one, I only received the second one. But since it's a tarot deck that I don't use that often, I put it away someplace. Unfortunately, I don't remember where. But Drake and I are on the case. We're going to look for it. We're going to find it. And preferably, we will find it before I leave for Poughkeepsie, New York. So there you go. Feel free to ask me any questions about my professional psychic practice in the comments. As always, I want to thank all of you in YouTubeLand for honoring who I am and what I do, for all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, and all the subscriptions to my YouTube channel. And of course, An extra big and beautiful thank you to those of you who have already scheduled your sessions, and for those of you who are on the verge of scheduling your sessions, because some of you have not gotten back to me yet, although I know that there's somebody getting back to me tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. I think we're in the same time zone. He lives in Canada, but I don't remember offhand if we're in the same time zone. But for now, please, as always, stay in tune with your intuition, stay safe, stay well, stay hydrated, alternate the water with the coffee, and stay tuned for the next video.